Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys, this is another Harry Potter review. Today we're tackling Harry Potter Year 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, this has always been one of my favorite Harry Potter movies for a lot of reasons, and we're going to get into it, of course. But one of my subscribers, Vince, he was like, "Oh, this is my favorite Harry Potter movie," because we're actually both doing it at the same time. And he was like, "This is my favorite one." And, you know, I'm obviously on movie 3 of 8, but I can understand why he likes that movie, why a lot of people love this movie. I mean, it's a great film. My only real issue is I think I really have two mini negatives. The one is the ending, and I don't hate the ending, but it kind of has like an Evil Dead, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness type of ending where it's like a kind of abrupt, you know. It's like Harry goes past the screen, it's a freaking like freeze frame, and it's like smeared. It's just kind of weird. I get it, you know, that they want to end on a positive, fun note, but the whole movie really isn't, you know, I mean, it's not the first two movies. The first two movies are really dark and effed up in some spots, but, you know, they're more or less, well, you know, I don't want to say innocent, but they're not as, you know, dark, as intense as this film, because I believe this is the first movie where the Harry Potter franchise really goes dark and really matures. And I'm not meaning to say that the first two are kids' films, because they're not. But, you know, the first two are more innocent in tone and nature compared to this one. And, you know, like I said, he just he's like, ah! He makes this weird face. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. It's not that great. And then my other issue is that, you think that the end, you know, the third act is here, right? You got freaking the Peter Pettigrew's, the Scabbers, you know, and you got the Snape and Loomis, you know, they're all there, and sorry, Lupin, and they're all there, you know, the werewolf fight happens between Lupin and, you know, Sirius Black, and then you're like, alright, this is a pretty sick thing, you know, and then Harry Potter shows up, and he does you know, he kind of gets knocked out, and then it's a cliffhanger, right? Oh no, there's still a whole other third act where they go back in time. Now, the whole back in time thing is fantastic, and it's handled really well. However, because it's such it's not that long, but it feels like a longer, I guess, extension of the runtime. You think the movie's over, and then it's like, nope, here's the fourth act, you know, we're going to keep going, here's more. And I don't mind more Harry Potter, but again, the pacing was a bit weird to me, because again, it feels like the end of the movie, and then suddenly we're in like kind of like a bonus round, so to speak, of, you know, here's more, and here's the time thing, you know. That feels like that should have been the end, or they should have picked one. But it feels like they have two, you know, final battles, so to speak, or, you know, two final endings. And it does come off a bit, you know, not long, because it's actually not the longest Harry Potter movie, but I believe Chamber of Secrets is actually a little longer, but this one, it just felt a little off in terms of the tone. So those are the only two negatives. Apart from that, I think Alfonso Cuarón, or Cuarón, whatever, he did a great effing job. I think that, you know, obviously the writing is great. Obviously, the acting is better than ever between Ron, Harry, and Hermione. Everyone's better. Of course, then we have the new Dumbledore for the very first time. I think Michael Gambon is his name. I like him the best because we've seen him more, but I do think that the older version of Dumbledore, I think Richard Harris, he was very good too. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of hard. I think Richard Harris Dumbledore was more like calming, and this one's more like, hey, I'm a cool guy. You know what I mean? He's kind of like that. I can see Dumbledore doing the horns, you know. But I do think that he's, you know, pretty good. Of course, you know, Sirius Black, Gary Oldman's really good. Everyone in their, you know, roles is freaking awesome. Of course, it's Harry Potter, right? No one's gonna be horrible in it. It's widely known and loved for a reason, not because it's horrible acting. You know, obviously we're gonna get good acting. But CGI, again, this is the third film, so of course this is even better than the first and second, of course. But I mean, the Quidditch scene in this, even though it's in the rain and there's, you know, Dementors everywhere, it does look good. You know, I mean, there's one shot specifically where Harry goes kind of toward the camera, and it's CGI, but it doesn't look bad. You know, the CGI, I really don't have any negatives. I do think it's very good. I think this is the first film where I truly think the CGI is basically top tier for this franchise. I think this is where it starts to get really good. Now, in terms of the way this movie is shot and edited and directed is freaking fantastic. The way like they zoom in on people's faces, or the way that they, you know, kind of had like a, I guess, callback shots where it's like, you know, it goes through at the castle and like the swinging chimes and all that and the clock, and then it does the same thing but reverse, you know, and that plays into the time travel thing as well, right? You know, they get hit in the head with little, like, looks like seashells from a pumpkin or something, pumpkin corn thing, and you know, they're like, what the heck was that? And it turns out it's literally them from the future, but we don't know that yet because we're not there in the movie. So it's very smartly written and smartly directed like that, and it's very cool to see. You know, there's also really good shots in there. When Hagrid's, you know, with Buckbeak and just, you know, different, every shot essentially has a purpose, right? There's always something going on in the foreground or the background. And I don't mean that as in, oh, it's very distracting, you know, but everything has life to the shots, and that's really effing cool. You know, seeing the Dementor kind of creepily enter the you know, Hogwarts Express in the beginning of the film, it's borderline a horror movie, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh my god, I'm scared, but, you know, it is kind of eerie and creepy, right? This movie has a very eerie and creepy tone to it, you know, just with Buckbeak dying, and just the way that, you know, the Dementors are always like this, you know, damning presence over the school is really, you know, quite insane to, you know, behold, I guess. CGI looks freaking great for them, too. But, you know, just seeing Sirius Black and the whole, you know, the whole plot thickens, so to speak, with everyone essentially is framing Sirius Black thinking he's a murderer, he's a bad guy, right? It's like, this movie is like the definition of mainstream media, you know what I mean? They all, one guy claims something and then the whole freaking internet believes it, even though it's all bullshit. And I can tell you a billion different examples of that online. And this is exactly the same thing. You know, everyone thinks Sirius Black is some crazy killer. Turns out, no, it's actually Peter Pettigrew. He was framed, much like Buckbeak. So there's a lot of really cool framing devices and a lot of cool themes and messages in the movie that kind of, you know, coincide with each other. And you're watching it and you're like, oh, man, you know, this is so cool. You know, it's like a mind effort, but in a good way. Because it's not confusing. It's all, you have a question, right? You're like, wait, what the hell? What? Who's that? What the heck's going on? Who is this? Why are they there? What the, you know, and it all gets answered in the movie. Nothing is left unchecked where you're like, oh, okay, wait, hang on, how did Hermione and Harry get there? No, you know, everything is explained in a very cohesive way. You know, even Lupin in the end, he's like, yeah, no one wants me to freaking teach their kids. I turned into a werewolf, you know. So, between Lupin being a werewolf and Sirius Black being an animagus, is very cool to see, you know what I mean? And it just deals with the lore in really cool ways. And, you know, with a franchise like Harry Potter, it could be very easy for them to lose the magic. Because, again, we're getting to that point now in movie 3 where we're starting to, again, they still go to classes and stuff in the older movies. But, you know, this is the first one where it's more serious and dark and mature and all that. You know, it's not, oh, you know, Neville F's up again and he's flying, you know, I mean, it's not silly stuff like that. And those movies are fantastic in their own right. But this is where it really starts to kind of, you know, really F up in terms of, in a good way F up, in terms of, you know, the just darkness and the maturity. And, you know, it's very easy for the director to have said, okay, let's just make this dark and mature and heavy and lore heavy, and then not even focus on the fun side and the magic. And thankfully they have the wonder and the magic, it's still there. You know, even in later movies, I believe like in the 5th film, Order of the Phoenix, from what I remember, Harry's like, I love magic. You know, I mean, just like when he, you know, I mean, even Harry himself is never like, oh, darn it, you know, it's like Jurassic World. Dinosaurs are stupid. We need the Indominus, you know what I mean? Or we need the Indoraptor, or the freaking, I don't know, whatever the last one was from Dominion, you know, the Nada something, whatever. That, it's the same thing with that. You know, there's the whole point of Jurassic World 1 where Owen literally tells Claire, hey, you know, for, I guess, an analogy from Jurassic World, they're like, look, we need it bigger, scarier, more teeth. It's kind of like that. And they could have done that, but thankfully they didn't. You know, they didn't veer off in the direction where no one cares, you know. Because look, when you're a freaking witch or wizard, it doesn't matter, you know, I mean, like, I could open a billion doors with a wand, and eventually it's going to be like, oh, okay, this is kind of boring now. But it never gets boring for the audience because it never gets boring for the characters. And that's really, really ingenious of the director to always infuse a little bit of magic and wonder, even though there's a lot of crazy shit going down. It is very nice to see that, you know, these characters, they're not just one note, you know, oh, the plot's moving forward, so do we. You know, Ron and Harry are still making jokes. These guys are eating candy and they make animal noises, you know, stuff like that. It still retains the funny, silly side. And the humor in this film is different than Chamber, right? Chamber had more innocent humor, and that's not to say it's children humor, it's innocent humor. There's a difference. And then you also get, you know, I guess, in this film having a bit more of, I guess, edgy or, I guess, like dark humor. They call it black humor, dark humor, something like that. That's not a racist thing. It's just what it's called for anyone freaking out. But it is very much a case of the comedy is a bit different in that, you know, it's not as... Comedy is subjective, you know what I mean? Like, you may think a fart joke is stupid, I might think it's funny. You know, it is what it is. But this film has a different sense of comedy than the second and first, and that's what's really unique. But overall, this, you know, just the whole time travel thing, and just the Dementors and Sirius Black, you know, all these ramifications that show up in this film that are going to lead to other films. This is probably the most unique Harry Potter movie out of all 8. You know, it definitely is the most unique in terms of, you know, yeah, there's no more time travel, you know what I mean? They give these little subtle hints where Ron, through the whole movie, is like, were you here the whole time? Like, where did you get here? How did you get here? You know what I mean? Oh, wait a minute. How are you in 2 classes at once? And all this stuff kind of clicks. And you're like, oh, shoot, that's actually dope. You know what I mean? All this cool stuff that eventually makes sense. And that's what's really unique about the movie. Yes, it's dark, and it's funny, and it's very well edited. There's one really awesome shot. I think Corridor Crew actually covered it, but I've always loved it, where, they're all trying to do the boggarts, right, and the ridiculous, and it shows, like, this, one of the girls, like, her shoulder, right, and the camera pushes forward into a mirror, and you can see the smudges and the stuff on the mirror, and then it goes through the mirror, out through the other side, and you can actually see that hairy scar in the end of that shot, that scene. The final shot is actually on the other side because they're looking through the mirror. There's little things like that, It's very unique filmmaking, and it's very thoughtful in its nature, and it's very, very fun to see. So, overall, again, my only negatives would have to be that, I think that the ending is a bit weird with the freeze frame. I don't know why they went with that. I get it. They were like, oh, it's funny and happy, and it's a positive ending, and it's upbeat, but it's just weird. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. Like, Evil Dead, it works because that's the whole tone of that franchise, right? Doctor Strange 2 works because that's literally Sam Raimi, the guy who effing made Evil Dead. But this movie, it just feels a bit out of place for a Harry Potter film. I know it's weird, but yeah, I know, whatever. And then the other negative was, of course, the fact that they have the big fight, and they're like, oh, we're going to go back in time travel now, and it's like an extra 30, 20 minutes of that, which I love. I think it's because it's integral to the plot. It's not just there to be there, right? It does matter, but again, tone-wise, it just felt a bit strange. So I'm going to give Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, let's see, I'll give it an A, because honestly, these negatives didn't really, they didn't really hit me. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot one negative. It just clicked on me now. I forgot. Sorry. Bill me. Sue me. But don't do that. Also, there is one shot where I completely blanked, where Sirius and Harry are getting destroyed by they're kissing. You know what I mean. It sounds really effed up when you know what I mean. Where the Dementors, it's called the Dementors kiss, alright? Jesus Christ. I know we're all laughing. But look, it's funny because, I can't say the Dementors are kissing him because that's really effed up. He's sucking out his soul, alright? That sounds weird too, but you get what I'm saying. I can't say this in a good way that's not going to make you laugh. So, Sirius Black's getting effed up, basically, and there's one shot where he's like, he freaks out, and then it's like the next shot, he's like, it's like, what, did he go, like, what, did he faint? You know what I mean? I think that's a bit of an editing error, so all that aside, none of these errors are enough to make me beg it down that much. Because look, I know, oh, you give another Harry Potter movie an A? They're good movies. What do you want me to effing do? You know what I mean? I'm not going to give it a C or a D. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be lying to you guys. If I have real issues, I'm going to dock it down. But I really don't think that any of these nitpicks are that bad. So, yes, I did have to dock it from an A+ to an A. I probably would have given it an A+, but at the same time, I have to, obviously take that stuff into account, the negatives. I can't just say negatives and not take it down or anything. So, again, I'm going to give Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban an A. Those little 3 negatives, nothing too crazy. But again, it is a very unique film, and it's very, different to the other Harry Potter movies. So we're going to end with this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. I have my wand here. We're going to try this again. I'm going to try another spell. We'll see if it happens, right? I'm going to try an actual spell. None of this Ron Weasley crap, whatever. I'm going to try to lift the camera. Okay, here we go. Wingardium. This works, you have to subscribe, okay? And hey, if it doesn't work, you have to subscribe, okay? It's like a thing. Wingardium Leviosa.